The Lover's Pentacle, chapter 16, 1-6, the Fool. His dream world was a walk on diversion from the tribulations he faced in the waking world, and one could almost say that he preferred the dream world to the real world, and this was merely a testament to how well he slept since he rarely experienced nightmares. Carina called Irina, and she was in luck. Irina was also in the dolphin mode with her grandchildren, and the party met up at the Dave and Buster. And while the children played, Carina told Irina about the weird dream she had last night. I get why I dreamt of a man with a bird head. The god Horus has the body of a man and the head of a bird, and one of my father's patients was named Horus, so my head warped since to create that bizarre dream. What I don't get is the magic bit, said Carina. Dreaming about hospitals is a good thing. A past trauma is quickly being healed. And since you saw a doctor and this doctor happened to be your father, the healing is happening through his intervention, said Irina after digesting the dream. As we grow older, we gain new understanding of the past, and this new understanding is going to paint a past incident in a new positive light. And the bird, what does the birdman mean? asked Carina. The god Horus is a protector and a healer, and his presence also reinforces the overall message of your dream, said Irina. He is the sky, his left eye is the moon, and his right eye the sun. And we are also drawing close to the winter solstice. And Horus is said to have defeated his mortal enemy around this time. And what does it have to do with anything? asked Bruno, who was bored beyond tears. I thought you would have appreciated this factoid. Horus is also the god of truth. A truth about your past is going to heal your trauma, and that is the overall message of the dream, said Irina. And the birdman smashing his head against the mirror, asked Bruno. Surely an act of self-harm does not imply healing. The act of breaking a mirror means that you have the bad habits that are harmful to you, and by breaking this mirror you are discarding the negative aspects of yourself. It is all part of the healing process, like cutting off a putrefying limb to keep the rest of the body from rotting away, explained Irina. Bruno's lips curled as a sign of irritation. Irina always had a clever answer to any question, and he had never seen the woman fluster or hesitate. How he envied her self-confidence. Irina extended her hand, and Carina, taking the hint, paid the woman for her patience. Irina looked at Bruno with her keen blue eyes, and Bruno avoided her piercing gaze. Do you want a psychic reading, Bruno? asked Irina, and she didn't more spending money for her grandchildren. I don't need to know my fate because I create my own future, said Bruno, and every step I take is designed towards making my future into a reality. Irina laughed heartily before saying, I had a dream once, a very nice dream I might add, and then Fidel Castro happened. People like you and I may think we have a firm grasp on what is to come, but at the end of the day, we're just ants trying to predict the movement of giants and to avoid being stepped upon. One day I will become a giant, said Bruno, alluding to his dream of becoming president of the United States, and I refuse to spend the rest of my life being stepped on by others. There is always going to be someone bigger than you, Bruno, said Irina. Come now, Grandma, there's no need to burst a man's bubble, said Lucero, and if you give me a 20, I will tell you what steps you need to take to become the President of the United States. Bruno's initial surprise passed when he realized that Carina had told Irina about his lofty ambitions, and there was also the possibility that Irina discussed her clients with her grandchildren, and even if she didn't, the walls in her apartment were paper thin, and one didn't need to try hard to eavesdrop. And Bruno gave Lucero $100 for the girl to keep her unsolicited advices to herself. And Lucero smiled thinly. Everything had gone according to her plans. The couple went home after the little shopping trip, and Carina watched a telenovela where Bruno read a new comic book he had borrowed from Kane. And from time to time he would look at the telenovela from the corner of his eyes, just enough to get the gist of it in order to be able to discuss the plot with Carina. And then he didn't want her to feel that he wasn't interested in her interests. At the bedtime, the two rolled around the hay before going to sleep. Everything was as it should be. The word days passed in the blink of an eye, and the following day Carina was going to be flying to the Cartagena with Bruno, and since she had gotten 2 weeks of vacation, she was lounging about in the living room, and she had by the door all of her luggage packed, and there was not leaving anything to chance, and it wasn't nice to go on a trip with the entire gang. It was even nicer that Bruno was coming along without his extended family. With nothing better to do, she brought out her cell phone to form a big party to go hit the town. And she spent the afternoon getting ready to go, and she washed her hair, she ironed it, and she made it nice and silky. And she found it amusing that Bruno took just as long as her to go outside. And there he was, ironing out the wrinkles of his jeans, and aside from the jeans, he wore a black turtleneck with a silver pendant. Carina came to stand before Bruno to look into the pendant, and there was no picture inside of it. It's just a fashion statement, said Bruno, and he immediately became self-conscious about it, so he started to remove it. Leave it looks nice, said Carina, and you ever thought about getting an ear pierce? I did back in college, but after seeing Rodrigo screaming like a lunatic, after getting a single ear pierce, I changed my mind, said Bruno, putting the pendant back on. And why did it take so long for us to meet? Asked Carina. Don't ask me, ask your cousin, said Bruno. And the night we met, that was also the night Rodrigo introduced me to your family. And before then, I was just the work friend he called whenever he wanted to go on the prowl. I'm sorry, said Carina. Why? Asked Bruno. Let's not start an argument, said Carina, getting dressed. And she wore her red strapless dress and a black leather jacket with red low-heeled shoes. And she planned to dance another way, so she needed her dancing shoes. And she wore simple accessories, rhinestone earrings in the shape of angels, and the matching necklace and a silvery anklet. And she never wore the good stuff whenever she went out clubbing to avoid muggers. And the couple went outside the house to wait, and Rodrigo joined them soon enough. And a car passed by, dropping off Rodrigo's one nice gang, Aura. Aura was a former cheerleader who was still in college, and she would go out with Rodrigo in between semesters. 5 minutes later, a limousine stopped, and the driver left his seat to open the door for the couples, and as soon as the door opened, Carina recognized the shrill laughter of Eugenia, and if Carina didn't know better, she would fancy that Eugenia was high or drunk. And then for Eugenia's good humor was being powered by cupcakes and ginger ale. And she was going to have a shout in a couple of months, but that wasn't going to stop her from partying. And Santiago was sitting beside his ginger-haired goddess, and he was saying that Eugenia was carrying his son. When Carina got inside the car, she saw Kane sitting beside Eugenia, and he was the other maybe father of her baby. And Kane had been dressed like a rock star by his fellow guitarist father, and he was all in shiny leather with his short hair spiked up with hair gel, and more folks got picked up. And eventually the limousine got filled up by 13 individuals: Carina, Bruno, Rodrigo, Aura, Santiago, Eugenia, Kane, Malik, Oberon, Natasha, Lisandra, Alexia, and Balthazar. Why didn't anyone invite Jeremy? Wrote Balthazar. Forget about that guy, said Alexia after reading Balthazar's message. Jeremy's a stick in the mud, said Rodrigo, and how many times has he gone out with us? 8, maybe 10? And not one has he attended to make polite conversation. He never looks like he enjoys our company, said Natasha, agreeing with Rodrigo. So if he doesn't want to run with the white horses, why force him? Maybe he's just shy, said Kane. And you can't expect him to open up after a couple of interactions. I remember when I was small. If having Jeremy here is so important to you, let's go get him, said Eugenia, interrupting Kane. And every time Kane spoke about his youth, it always bummed Eugenia out, and she wanted to have fun tonight. So naturally she didn't want Kane to tell one of his sad stories. Kane forced a fake smile while he pretended to be having fun, and Eugenia called Sedante to ask him if Jeremy wanted to come out to play. And she was relieved to hear that Jeremy had taken his T-ball to the vet, so he was indisposed at the moment. I hope T-ball feels better, said Eugenia sadly before hanging up the phone. Poor kitty, said Carina, looking about, and she asked, and why isn't Dorothy here with Sedanta? Sedanta never goes out in the nights of the full moon, explained Eugenia. And Dorothy thinks he's a werewolf. But is he a werewolf? Asked Carina. Honestly, Carina, werewolves aren't real, said Alexia, laughing. He is probably sulking because his mother was murdered on the night of the full moon, wrote Balthazar. Alexia repeated aloud what Balthazar wrote, and then he asked, how do you know that? Jeremy told me, wrote Balthazar. God, enough doom and gloom. Have a beer, said Eugenia, opening a bottle and handing it to Balthazar. Malik took the bottle before Balthazar drank it, and he said, the boy isn't old enough to drink. And you're going to AA, said Carina, taking the bottle from Malik. Eugenia sighed before slamming over her boyfriend, and Santiago petted her red hair until she stopped sulking. And thankfully her gloom only lasted a couple of minutes, and she sat up again in order to rant about everything and nothing. And for the first stop, they visited mojitos for Cuban food and music. And Carina danced with Bruno for half an hour, and Bruno was eventually forced to sit down due to his knee. And she continued to dance by herself until she was intercepted by Oberon, and she pouted when she noticed that he was being a bit distant with her. This distance was shown by the fact that his dance stance was open as much as humanly possible, and though his dance moves were completely dispassionate, it was almost as if he didn't truly want to dance with her. Am I missing something? Asked Carina. I am sorry, did I say something? Asked Oberon. You didn't need to dance with me just because I was dancing by myself, said Carina. I was just being polite, said Oberon coldly, and he had gone to dance with Carina because King had asked him to. Oberon released Carina from his dance stance, and he moved a couple of paces to dance by himself, and at the moment they were the only two dancers in the group without partners, and as the dancing lights off for a bit, they two returned to dancing together. You look very beautiful tonight, said Oberon. And all the other nights, asked Carina, fetching for compliments. You are so beautiful that you made the torches around you appear dim, said Oberon, misquoting Shakespeare. Torches? What are you talking about? Jesus Christ! You will do anything to sleep with a man, even if it means seducing me, giggled Carina. You are the prey I seek, Carina, said Oberon, being brutally honest. And if I need to power through Bruno, then so be it. I was under the impression that you were gay, said Carina, raising an eyebrow. I have enjoyed many men, but also many women as well, said Oberon. I have enjoyed many men as well, said Carina flatly. But never woman, said Oberon, drawing Carina into his embrace. Are you even remotely curious? No, lied Carina, and she was indeed curious, not about women, but about Oberon. Are you afraid that you're going to like it? Asked Oberon, kissing Carina on the neck. And Carina trembled with delight before pushing Oberon away. Whoa there, hold your horses. Well, can't say I tried, said Oberon before he stopped dancing. And he noticed Lysandra dancing by herself, and it didn't take long for Oberon to convince a woman to cheat on her husband. And Carina shook her head sadly while she watched her friend going off with Oberon to mate in the bathroom. And she wanted to comment on it, but she fancied that Lysandra probably cheated on her husband on a regular basis. Carina continued to dance by herself until she was joined by Bruno. And what's the matter? Asked Bruno. Lysandra's cheating on her husband, said Carina sadly. They probably have an open marriage, and maybe they are only still together because of the children, said Bruno dryly. It is best not to pry in matters that one doesn't fully understand. Yeah, I guess you're right, said Carina, agreeing with Bruno. Carina smiled when she saw Oberon leaving the bathroom looking extremely disappointed, and Lysandra had chickened out in the last moment. And the light concert ended after 2 hours, and with the music changing, it was time to move on to a different venue. And they got back inside the limousine, and the driver made a quick stop to pick up some of Eugenia's girlfriends. And the driver got into the expressway without any specific direction. Oh, cool! Santa's Enchanted Forest is still open, said Kane, looking out the window, smiling. Let's go there then, said Eugenia. What are we, 5? Asked Lysandra disdainfully. My limousine, my driver. We are going to Santa's Enchanted Forest, ordered Eugenia. She knew that Kane still liked kid stuff, like video games and amusement parks, so to keep the smile on his face, she decided to indulge him a little. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye and God bless.